Okie dokie. All right, guys. Welcome to Sunday night's LifeBook Book Club. We're going to be talking about elements 10 and 11. Actually, I really enjoyed the element 10 on hydration. Just because, hold on, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute everybody, but remember, if you want to say anything, just unmute yourself. Okay. All right. So I was just going to go over some things. I think this is an important thing for us to keep in mind that, the journey kickoff video, the life book, they all talk about eight ounce glasses or 64 ounces of water a day. Because officially that is what the 5-in-1 program, or that is the Optavia recommendation on the amount of water. We often say, as I know many coaches do, that we recommend 100 ounces a day. In our experience, what we have personally found is that people do better, they feel better, they have better results. Plus, if you say 64 and they fall short, they're really not getting enough. If you say 100 and they fall short, they're probably still okay. So that's just what we tend to recommend. And that was one of the points we bring up in our journey kickoff video. But I really loved the list here of where Dr. A talks about the reasons why you want to drink so much water, because I think when some people just do it, but some people really want to know the reasons as to why it's so important. And when you see the reasons, I think it has a lot more of an impact, and that it really motivates them to do more. So I wanted to pull out a few of those. That oftentimes, like it says, 30% of the time when we feel hungry, we're just really thirsty. And studies have actually shown that most of us, pre-Optavia, most of us live in a state of dehydration. And one of the best ways, and I think this is a good way to share with your clients, one of the best ways for your clients to know if they are well hydrated is the color of their urine, right? Your urine should really be clear to light yellow. If it's dark yellow, you know you are dehydrated, and you have been dehydrated for quite some time for your urine to concentrate like that. So if people are wondering, how do I know if I'm really drinking enough water? That is the best way to know. Thirst is not a good indicator. By the time you're thirsty, way too late. So just tell them to keep their urine clear to yellow. But some of the other reasons he talks about is, and we talk about this a lot too, is that all the water helps flush out all the toxins that are being released from our fat cells. Your fat cells actually are one of the main places where your body holds in toxins, right? So it stores them there. So when we're releasing all those fat cells, we are releasing a lot of toxins that we want to flush out of our system. Fatigue, I think, is another big one. I really think that a lot of people are fatigued throughout the day because they are dehydrated. And on our program, when you are burning fat and carbohydrates, your body stores a lot of water with the fat and with the carbohydrates that's stored in your body. So people are really losing a lot of water, and that's one reason it's so important for them to hydrate very well, because they will become dehydrated, and they will actually become dehydrated faster when they are in fat burn, because they're losing a lot of water along with the fat and the carbohydrates. And of course, we know your metabolism can't run on optimal speed unless you are well hydrated. And then the last, I talked about that one. Okay. I wanted to quick mention the way that we often help people easily get their water in, because some people tend to, I'll drink a glass here, a glass there. That's when it gets a little hard to remember kind of how much you've had. Now the app can help, but again, the app's only tracking you to 64 ounces. But what we often recommend is to people who drink bottled water, or drink 16 ounces of water with each of your 6 meals, and then you're done. Right? If you drink a large glass of water with each of your fuelings and your lean and green, you're good for the day. Right? You don't need to think about it otherwise. For those people who are challenged getting in the water, it's a cue. Like when one of the past elements we talked about, a cue to develop a habit. So that can be their cue. When I eat, I drink if they're not one to drink in between. Okay, this was kind of a big wow eye opener to me because this is not something I typically tell people. Dr. A has a list of the healthy hydration options in here. Purified water, bottled water. I don't know what RO water is. Does anybody know what RO water is? Yeah, come off mute if you know and tell me, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think
reverse
it's
osmosis.
yeah,
Oh,
reverse
oh,
osmosis.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you got some reverse osmosis water in your refrigerator, you can.
Yeah.
It's like really close to distilled water. It's like
Yeah.
right almost distilled. It's like a home version of like 5 stages of filtering.
Or
That's
Glenda, I guess when we're on Tradewinds boats, we're drinking reverse osmosis water. So, tea. Okay, here's where the surprising ones come in. Yes. Tea, obviously unsweet tea. The next one is even more sort of coffee. I always tell people, of course you can drink coffee. You can have up to 3 cups of coffee. I think it's his first book talks about up to 3 cups is fine. More than that activates the cortisol, which increases fat storage. But in here, and I still think we should tell people 3 cups max a day. I mean, people really don't need to be drinking more than that. If they're drinking more than that, there's obviously another issue. But he says coffee can count towards their water.
Isn't that amazing? We never taught that before.
And we have known increasingly that coffee and caffeine are not a diuretic. That is a myth. That's not actually true. But now we can, I mean, it's in the book. If they read the book, they're going to see that coffee is, but I think that's just yet another reason for us to encourage 100 ounces a day. Because if someone gets 27 ounces of their water from coffee, they're not developing a very good habit of drinking water. Okay, and then the infused water is, that just means anything with no calories. But I do want to talk too about the unhealthy hydration list, specifically a couple of them. One is fruit juices. How many people think they're drinking something healthy when they have a glass of orange juice at breakfast? This is a bit of a pet peeve of mine because there's really nothing. And I actually got into a little bit of an argument with a nutritionist on Facebook over this not too long ago. I posted basically that fruit juice is like a glass full of sugar. Of course, it's not as bad as a Coke or something like that. But in reality, when you drink a glass of fruit juice, you've taken out much of the nutritional benefits from the fruit, like the fiber, and you have essentially strained out the sugary juice, and that is all you're getting. So that is why he lists it as an unhealthy source of hydration, because you're basically getting a bunch of calories and sugar unnecessarily. The other one I think that's important, we may have to help people understand, is where he mentions almond, coconut, and flax milks. He obviously, one of the things we say you can have as an optional condiment is a cup of, but he is talking about sweetened almond and cashew and whatever milks here. So if you think about it, make note when you're talking to people about that and say, yeah, you'll see in the LifeBook where he mentions these are unhealthy hydrate, but he means sweetened versions of it. The unsweetened ones are obviously okay, but not a source of their water. Yep, John?
Yeah, when I read that, I really was like, whoa. In fact, last week in preparing for this, I really wanted to touch base on this because I always used almond milk with either, I liked it with my pudding or my cereal. Mm-hmm. And it's only a little bit. It's like, but I don't count it as one of my hydration supplements. But I assumed in here that almond milk unsweetened was probably okay to help you with your fuelings, but not as a water supplement. And I think that's what he's referring to here, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. And specifically the sweetened ones, because you'll notice pretty much everything he put here, other than diet soda, these are all sweetened, generally sweetened drinks here.
Yeah, that's the way I looked at it too.
Yeah, or an alcohol, it really acts very similar to sugar in your body. Let's see. I think I talked about that. All right, I think that's all I pulled out of the water stuff. Anybody else get anything else out of the hydration? Anything that seemed particularly interesting to you?
All right, you said something, hi.
Hey,
Hi.
Marion.
You said something about the app telling you about your water. And I don't have that on my app. I mean, it tells me, did I have a fueling? And I click yes. And was it, like my lean and green? But it doesn't say anything about water or hydration on my app.
I'm not going to be able to pull mine up right now. I mean, he even mentions it in here. Where was that? Yeah, on page 207. I wonder if you have an older version where it's not on there. Does anybody else have the water part on their app?
An older version, the app only came out in August.
Yeah, but they've updated it. So it should have updated automatically as long as you have it set to do that.
It
Yeah.
also depends on where you're at in your journey, so it evolves. So
Yeah.
like mine's not even recording water right now. It's doing the
Yes, I have that. I have that. What's
feelings
under
in
your,
a
what's under
motion.
your walk? What's under your steps? That's all I have.
Yeah, sometimes they'll put us surroundings in there, but water was
surroundings,
already
right.
established. So when you go to the so when you go to the top here, they get to
Oh, all right. Okay.
food
So
and
you have to go into
hydration.
settings. Okay.
So I've already gotten that. So my hydration's done. So they're not asking me about it anymore. So if you're beyond that, they ask you other things, work on the other 6 or other 5 macro habits.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thanks, CJ.
That's great. I'm glad, because that means if you're having trouble, other people might get confused by that.
Exactly. So on element 11, this is really good because this is what a lot of people ask us, especially in the beginning. Well, what do I do after I reach my healthy weight, or what do I do beyond that? And this is all about creating healthy habits through our feelings, which, the lean and green is the first element. So in what we're teaching, and that is how they're going to learn how to make balanced meals for at least 3 of their meals out of the day going forward, and teaching them about the 4-part shopping list, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it's a lot of things that, some of us take for granted, that, love to cook and shop and eat healthy. But a lot of people don't know these things. So it's really good, about the 4-part shopping list, which is a lean protein, healthy fats and oils, the green vegetables and salad, and healthy snacks and condiments.
I do like that for someone who doesn't cook. That seems really straightforward to me.
Absolutely. And then it goes in to break it all down. So it tells the importance of the healthy fats and oils, which is very important. And I always tell people when I do the kickoff call about paying attention to that, because the healthy fats help our body to absorb the vitamins such as A, D, and E, and K, and it's very important in keeping us regular also. So a lot of times people that get constipated on the program, a lot of times they're not paying attention to their healthy fats.
I've been surprised, actually, the number of people that don't necessarily make a point of getting in their healthy fats. Like when they're eating the leanest protein, they may or may not work them in there, thinking it's more of an, I don't know, they just don't really think about it. So it's a really good point to make sure that they are getting that in there.
It's very important. Yeah. And then the green vegetables and salad, of course, and then talking about the importance of the greens. And I love how he breaks it down into the different, the highest, the moderate, and the lowest carbohydrate. And when we always do the kickoff call, we've always said you can eat from all of these. It doesn't matter, which is true, and not give it much attention. But then when we go further on with our clients, and some of them have a week or 2 weeks of struggling and not losing weight, and we're trying to dive in and find out exactly what it could be that that's keeping them from losing the weight that they're supposed to be or they should be losing. I love this one, talking about, well, let's switch them to the lowest carbohydrate vegetables for a week. Switch to that and the leanest protein. Kick up their water, and a lot of times that kicks them out of that plateau. And and it's really, really interesting to see about what's in these as the lowest and the moderate and the highest. I was surprised, I made kale today, and for the longest time I thought it was in the lowest carbohydrate because it's like a collard green, but it's actually in the moderate carbohydrate. So it's just really interesting to revisit these things and really look at them. And that's what I love about what we're doing with going through these elements. And that's basically it. I mean, and those two elements. Did y'all have anything that you found in element 11 that stuck out to you or that you thought was helpful? Jamie?
Yeah, one thing that I always have and Marianne will know this because we talk to the people, is just that this is where it's so important to make those daily calls when your client first starts or the week, because it can be confusing on how much they need to eat. And, I've had a couple, I'm like, okay, tell me what you did for your lean and green. And they're like, well, I had a serving of green beans. Mm-hmm. And I said, a serving or 3 servings? Well, no, I just had 1. Well, that's not enough. Mm-hmm. So the way that I explain it is that if you've got to cook it, a serving's a half a cup. If it's raw, lettuce and spinach, chop it up, pack it down, it's a cup. So it's very important to make sure that everybody really does stay close and ask the direct questions. Sometimes people just want to feather over it. Ask the direct questions. What are you fixing? And even on your night before call, like I had 2 tonight, I'll say, what are you planning for your lean and green tomorrow? Mm-hmm. Oh, I might have a lean and some green. Nope, that's not what I asked you. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be cooking? I might cook some chicken. You're going to cook white meat or dark meat? White meat. Okay, no skin. How much are you going to eat? And I quiz them. 6 ounces. Great. What are you going to have for your healthy fat? Oh, look on the bottom of page 18. Mm-hmm. So it's very important as coaches to make sure that you're coaching them, because it does affect the results, and we want them to maximize the results.
And I love how you said, look on the bottom of page 18, because instead of being the hero coach and telling them everything that they need to know every time, we need to point them to the reference so that they can be held accountable. And that's how they learn, because, if we tell them stuff, it goes in one ear, out the other. They may do it that day. But if they have to look it up repeatedly, they know where it is and they read it, that's when it becomes a habit for them. And that's when it sticks. So.
And what's really great about that is why we need to be so specific. Like, we should never ask them, did you get your water in? Because they'll say yes. They might have gotten 40 ounces of water in, but they got their water in. Ask them specifically, how much water did you get in?
And I want to know in ounces. I don't want to know in glasses. Tell me in ounces. And I tell them that in the beginning. I want to know in ounces, not glasses.
And it's the same thing with the amount of lean and the amount of greens and all of that, to be very specific, just like Jamie was saying. I think that's so important.
It is.
Another thing that sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Go. When we had our other one, we was talking about element 9. It wasn't the next day when someone asked me something and it triggered my mind. And I said, well, if you're looking your life book on element 9, you'll be able to go through that. So, just those little bitty things. And something else I found that this week when I was looking in Share, they have all the elements broken down in there that you can copy and paste and send out to your clients.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's always good to go in and look around, to see, because I want to post 1 a week just to see how they're doing. So that's
and what?
Good point.
What I really, but probably one of the things I most liked out of the element 11 was the focus on the lean and green, because I've been increasingly telling our clients the most important, even though I've kind of said it, I haven't been as forward with it. The most important meal of the day is your lean and green. I want them to start focusing more on the lean and green than the fuelings. Quit doing all this hacking of this and hacking of that. Figure out your lean and green and explore that. If you want to hack something, explore that a little bit more, instead of, because they'll get bored with the same lean and green, and then they get bored with their program, and then they start focusing so much on the food. If these people like cooking and they like having fun with food, this is the time that they can do it. Plus, this is the way that we want them to learn how to cook and fuel their bodies for the long term. This is what's going to make all the difference for their ability to eat in a healthy way.
Okay, so for me, I don't cook. I'm so busy, but I do tell them what I do. I stop by Uncle Giuseppe's or North Shore Farms, and I already get the grilled chicken. I get the grilled salmon. I have two. I always have two lean greens available in my refrigerator in case we have a snowstorm and I can't get out for 2 days. I went into New York City for a play yesterday. I took 5 fuelings with me because in case I got stuck for 3 days in the city, I always was prepared.
Smart.
So they were all making fun of me, but this is what I think of, and I'm trying to get them to think on that same path, to always, you don't have to cook. A lot of my people don't want to cook. And I said, listen, my kids aren't home. My husband is cooking what he wants, blah, blah. We're all doing our own thing. This is the easiest thing. I have a drawer in the refrigerator. They know that my food is in there and that I will go and it's still a grab and go or heat up and heat it up. And I'll make saute, like I'll do the spinach and put it in little containers so that I just have to take that and put it with my salmon or put it with my chicken. And I'm good to go.
Yeah.
It takes me
Awesome.
10 minutes.
That's great. There's all kinds of
For the
tricks
people
that
who
you can
don't
do.
like to, but I did make you taco soup and it was delicious.
Good.
But,
All kinds of tricks that you can teach people that don't cook or don't like to cook, because the restaurant guide. I mean, we can all look at menus online anywhere, any restaurant. Once you know the basics of it, you can make a lean and green. So yeah, that it's all about understanding the lean and green, so that you can do all of that. So that's awesome. Very good.
One of the things.
Go ahead, CJ.
Okay. One of the things I've been doing, I happen to have interaction with a lot of my clients with my work and family, because one or two of my sisters are doing it, and then my coworkers, and so they see me on a regular basis. And I've been getting those lean and green meals, and so they get to see these products, and so they know what they're getting into. Anyway, my clients are introduced to these things. It looks like everybody froze.
No, we're
the
here.
lean and green, and so it's an option I use a lot because I don't get home till late, and they've got a lot of good options with the lean and greens, the lean and green meals from Optavia. And some of the clients are interested in that because they don't want to stress. They're stressed over the whole, process of the beginning of the 5-in-1. So that was the answer for the one client. She says she just wants to do lean and green meals for the first week or two. I said, well, okay, whatever it takes, if that's what it takes for her, then sure. Anyway, they're really not bad. I've tried them, and they're good time savers. They're good in a pinch, like Marianne was saying. You never know when things come up. It's you're being prepared, and it's nice to have an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's generally when I recommend them. I don't necessarily like it if someone were to only use that, because again, then I feel like they're almost on a program where you're not learning how to fuel your body. But like Marianne, I think the way she's doing it is perfect. You're having to make choices of things you're at restaurants, etc., which is an important learning tool for your journey. But I agree
And learning the portion control with it.
Yeah,
That's a big thing, because I think that's one thing that you miss when you get the flavors of home is actually understanding the portion control of the protein and the vegetable. But as something that for guys that just don't like to cook, or for people that just want to grab and go, then every now and then I think that they're great.
Yeah.
I do.
One of the things about the restaurant stuff that I learned with Optavia that I never knew before is that you can ask for pretty much anything you want. If they have some combination, if you ask them, they'll do it, because you're paying them to cook your food. It doesn't have to be on the menu. And I tell my clients this, and they say, really, you can ask us? Yeah, watch what happens. And it's funny, the people that say they can't afford program are eating out 3 nights a week still and whatever it is. But I tell them, to order what you want, and you ask nicely and you'll get it. And they do, and they're kind of surprised. And anyhow, but the restaurant thing is cool with the advice of taking the extra container, and some people will whip out a scale in the restaurant. That's fine.
Yeah, that's hardcore right
That's
there.
hardcore.
Yeah.
I've heard about that, but I've never done it.
Mean business like whipping out a scale in a restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to add to what CJ just said. any restaurant will change up whatever. They're so used to that, dietary sensitivities, allergies. It's just a thing today. They're so used to changing things up. So it's pretty easy for them to leave off a potato and add more vegetables or
What
whatever.
it boils down to, they have to know what to ask for.
Yeah.
So they have to know what that proper portion is. And that's
Yeah.
what we really want to instill with them, because that is key to the program. It is the program.
I have a client that brings her waffle potatoes and asks the waiter to toast it for her so she can put her burger on top of it. I'm like, every time. Like, and she's a client that doesn't want anyone posting that she's on the program, but every time we're out, she's got to bring out her fueling of potato and say, could you please toast this for me? Hysterical.
Nice.
You know, Marianne's clients make me appreciate mine so much. So much.
That's not funny, Jamie. That is just not funny.
That's not funny.
Yeah, but I'm the one that you call when you have to complain about it. But I think it's funny. She's doing a great job, everybody.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
Marianne's clients are making all of us appreciate all of our clients.
So anything else about 10 or 11? Okay.
I think just on the recipes, you got to watch your serving sizes and the leaning greens. If you're going to use it, you've got to read it.
That
It
is
could
so
totally
true.
screw you up.
So true. In fact, going to that, adding a little bit to that too, you know, Sandy's Kitchen, like she said, you know, when you're doing these casseroles, it's so easy to eat a larger portion than you should. So when our clients that are struggling doing all that, we need to reel them back in and get them into a lean protein measuring it and vegetables measuring it, get them off those casseroles.
Yeah.
I'm working with that with 2 women right now. That's all they've done is Sandy's Kitchen. They refuse to do the other. They've only lost a pound. They've got a lot of weight to lose. And I know that it's just, you know, when you're doing a soup and you're doing, I mean, it's very difficult. So they have to really, you have to bring them back in and get them to the basics and then let them do these extra things with Sandy's Kitchen.
Yeah, the
Okay,
only
can I say
way
one
to do
more?
it with the soups and the casseroles, they have to measure it out at first and measure everything out. Put in the 4 containers and then eat 2 of them, because otherwise they'll overeat every single time.
So
Every
true.
single time.
Oh, that's a good idea. Is have them like
Just go ahead and separate.
cut it up already. Yeah, so that way they're going to make sure they don't skimp on one to get on another.
And they have to be very true at measuring the things. Not do and say, oh, well, if a half a cup of cheese is good, another cup is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, one other thing I wanted to say is because a lot of my clients are coming off of, let's say, Weight Watchers, where they're so used to the points and they know how the program works. And, you know, that was one of the questions today I had gotten, you know, because their app was always more detailed than the app that we work with now. So they were able to plug in what they had for breakfast, what they actually had. Not did you have a fueling or did like which fueling did you have and did you hack it or did you, you know, like I think that goes another. But anyway, the Weight Watch plan tells you, you know, you're able to plug in points. So I said, all right, we're done with the points. We're moving on to this program now. But she's like, how do they calculate the fats and the oils and the things that I had just asked Jamie? And I saw your response, but that's not an answer for her. She wants to know how they do it. I know it's in the program and it's all there, but there's got to be some kind of calculation for
Tell her to calculate it. Here's the thing. Tell her to calculate it herself if she cares. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit. But if she just wants to know, that's what teach her how to read labels.
Yeah.
Like she should learn how to read labels to nourish her body going forward. So pull out a fueling label. It's all on there. Look at what her lean and green is. It's all on there. There's no reason to get bogged down in that. But if she chooses to.
Yeah. I get, well, because we've been taught, I mean, we're on Weight Watchers many, many, many years. So all we had to do was type in the name of the thing and show them the scan of the back label and boom, it would tell them how many points it was per serving.
That's because that matters for the points. We don't live on points. We live on learning how to fuel our body in a healthy way.
The other thing I'll say about that is that's the exact issue with Weight Watchers, and which is why people, when they go off of Weight Watchers, why they gain the weight back. Because they've missed the whole educational component of our system, of our program, because I fight that same battle. I mean, I was on Weight Watchers off and on for years. My clients have been on Weight Watchers off and on for years. So I'm like, you know, if you want to keep thinking that same way, you're going to end up having those same results. You know, Weight Watchers, you can still eat junk on Weight Watchers as long as you count your points. This program is about actual health. And so to me, that's the big difference. I totally get it, Marianne, what you're saying about your client being frustrated. And it's really about them being willing to take that mind shift, to take that step to say, this is different. And as a result, my results will be different, and I'm going to be able to maintain this healthy weight loss for the rest of my life, not just be doing this yo-yo thing. So to me, that's the biggest thing and I'll say that when I'm talking to people on a health assessment, is that my biggest thing about Weight Watchers is that you can eat junk. There's no educational component. You can eat every processed food. You can eat every Snickers bar. You can eat every tub of ice cream you want, as long as you count it as your points.
That's why I never succeeded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd like to point out, and we could talk about it more later when you want, but I'm like a walking barometer for foods and how they affect me because of my situation with the Crohn's and all that. So eating this way, finally, it took me 30 years to figure it out. I know exactly what's messing with me and when it's messing with me. Even the old fuelings. Remember a couple months ago, somebody said about the old fuelings? I had a packet of tropical something that was a few months old, and made the mistake of eating it. And I was having a bad day, and I thought, what in the world? God, and it was that. So eating so simply, eating this whole plan, eating like this, I know exactly when one thing is wrong. I can eat, like, I'm starting to get a little lazy. I might eat a little bit of potato chips or something, and I feel it the next day within a few hours. And I'm that sensitive to it. And it doesn't knock me sideways like it used to, but I definitely know it. You know, I don't know. For what it's worth, I know exactly.
Reminder.
It is. It's good. It gives you that little aha. Yeah.
Well, everybody has that effect. It just usually takes a little bit longer for it to accumulate. You know, right away.
And to recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
That's the excellent point. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
This is a great point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So next week, Elements 12, and next week is the Super Bowl. Does anybody care
about Super Bowl?
Who cares about the Super Bowl? Raise your hand. Okay, John does.
I had a feeling. I just had a sneaking suspicion.
So I was just wondering if we wanted to.
They do have nice commercials.
We've been invited to a party that there's like 6 couples going to. So. Yeah,
it seems like it's not a big enough event to interfere with the book club.
Book club.
Okay, we'll keep it next week because we certainly, I don't even know who's playing. So
no, but I do like the commercials, and I hear Mr. Peanut is going to be killed.
What?
Yes,
they're knocking him off.
They're knocking him off.
Wow,
that doesn't seem right.
I know. After
that
75 years, he's going to be killed. He even leaves a will.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
If he was on Optavia, he would have lived more than 75 years.
Should have been almonds. 10
All right. We gotta jump off. We got a startup call tonight.
All
right, guys.
Good.
See ya.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Thank y'all.
Take care. Ciao.